tell us the story for people that are not familiar with you from, like I said, starting humble beginnings, sports, then you get into business and you just kind of just take off. So kind of walk us through your journey.
Yeah, well, like I said, good to be back. I had a lot of fun at Market Mondays. The energy you guys bring is unbelievable. But I mean, yeah, the story is, I guess, like a lot of us. I grew up on what we call council estate in the UK.
What's it called?
We call it a council estate. Here you call it a housing project. Right?
Okay,
like government assistance.
Yeah, government assistance.
Okay.
In the big blocks. And like most people who grow up in those environments, the number one way out for people that look like us, or the kind of most frequent way out, is either sports, entertainment, or some of the unsavory things.
Top boy.
Right. Top
The
boy.
street pharmacist route.
Exactly. And that was never really an option, although like a lot of people, you kind of saw it and you flirted with it. But when you had a mother like mine, it was, the fear of dealing with her was more... you were more scared of that than going into a correctional facility, for sure. Yeah. So never really got into that. I played football, which you guys call soccer, but it's really football. I played football a lot, and yeah, that was supposed to be my path. I was signed to a team, Crystal Palace, for a long time. And when it came to being serious, the point at which you really become a professional and really double down, I came out of the game. My contract wasn't renewed. And along that journey trying to become a footballer, my mum lost her home, or we lost the home that we lived in. So we were homeless for a short while. Then the football career ended. Then we were homeless again. And the fastest way for the family to be housed was to break the family up, because the government could find smaller properties faster than they could find larger properties.
How many people's in your family?
4. So my mum and my 2 brothers. So 4 of us. So
now, mom is from West Jamaica?
My mum's Guyanese and my dad's Jamaican.
Okay,
yeah,
got you.
Yeah, so that was the second time I was homeless. Kind of football crashed, and I had a lot of debt at the time. Because in pursuing the football career, I had a lot of friends who were doing really, really well at football, and they were earning real money from football at like 18, 19. So in order to keep up with them, keep up appearances with them on the nights out, and with girls and stuff around, I was borrowing money, right? So I was spending money on credit cards. And borrowing money to keep up that appearance. So when I came out of the game and lost the house, I had like £89,000 of debt.
£89,000 of debt?
Yeah, at 18.
At 18?
Yeah.
It's credit card debt?
Overdraft and credit card debt. Yeah.
That's a lot of parties, man.
Yeah, I mean, and I had a car too. I mean, I really, really went for it, because that was the environment. It was like most of my friends were doing really well at football, and I was one of very few in that group who financially wasn't. Like, I was signed to a team, but not in the way that that they were. So when I fell out the game, my agent at the time, he said, look, we've been trying to get you a new deal. There are clubs who will give you a short-term deal for good money, but then if that doesn't work out, what we're going to do? There are clubs that will give you a longer-term deal, but not for good money. You got to go to work. So that's what I did. I went to work at Motorola, making cold calls, and that was the beginning.
So you're at Motorola. Are you still homeless at this point?
At that point, so I lived in a hostel for a period, which is like
it's like a motel.
Yeah, like a bad.
Yeah, like an inn, a motor inn.
It's like what would you call that? Like a dormitory, right? So you live in a big room. There's like 12 beds. There's Eastern Europeans, Turkish people, like people from all kinds of ethnicities with their families and their bags, and you just you stay there until
a shelter.
Shelter. I guess.
It's like a shelter.
And then I met my now wife. So at the point of going to Motorola, I lived with her. She had a 1-bedroom apartment, and she kind of let me stay there at the beginning. So that was my route out of being homeless to live with her.
So all right, so you meet your now wife. You get into a 1-bedroom apartment. You're making cold calls for Motorola. You're selling something. You're selling services.
I'm trying to book appointments for field sales reps. So I'm calling companies and saying, can I send a guy in to spend time with you and talk to you about Motorola products and services? Okay.
And I'm assuming you do pretty well. You work your way up the ladder, become like one of the top sales people, right?
Yeah. Not at the beginning, because the transition out of playing football to making cold calls was like the coldest shower you could imagine. But yeah, over time, I managed to kind of figure it out and became a leader there.
So what's your journey to become an entrepreneur?
So I came out of Motorola and went to a US-based software company that was trying to grow internationally. So I went to the London office that had just been opened. There were like 6 people. There were a couple hundred people in Philly, but there were like 6 people in this London office. So I was one of the first in that office in a sales role. So as I kind of got better at making sales, was making quota, people were leaving, I would say to the owners, don't replace that person, just give me their territory. Don't replace that person who just left, give me their territory. So I kind of outstayed a couple generations of salespeople, had most of the territory, and convinced them to let me kind of look after that part of the business as almost like a franchise, right? So I would run international, they would take care of the US, and in return, they would give me equity in the entire company. So that's kind of how I came out of being at Motorola into understanding what equity meant, and we grew that company over the 9 years I was there and sold it to Oracle for $550 million. So my kind of journey into entrepreneurialism and liquidating equity was because I landed in this American company that was trying to grow internationally.
So you watched them sell. So I'm there's 6 of y'all, and as people keep getting let off, you're taking on their role, right? Until now you're the international guys, and you're watching this sale about to happen and realizing like there's 2 sides of the scale. Like what is the inspiration after that?
It was a little bit different. So after people left and I was kind of the lone guy, we built a team. So we built that team to about 150 people out of London, Germany, India, Japan, China. So I was responsible for that international expansion. So we opened offices in all those places. And by the time we were selling, I was the SVP of international, and I was part of the team that did that deal, right, alongside the CEO. So I was right in the seat. So I got to watch the deal. I got to participate in the deal. I knew what my equity was worth. As time had gone on, I'd been given and bought more equity. So I was part of that, and that changed mine and my family's life in a material way.
So after that sell, now you're full-fledged. You're in the mergers and acquisition game, right? So what happens next after that?
So along the way, I got calls from different private equity firms, different venture capital firms saying, hey, we see the job you're doing, we see how well it's going, we hear all the stories. Do you want to come and run this software company that we just invested in? So I'd become a little bit known to the investment community. So when the deal got done with Oracle, I had a lot of calls, but I had a tie-in with Oracle. And as soon as the tie-in ended, it's pretty lucky, like I had a good set of offers. So I chose to go and run a Paris headquartered software company with Accel VC. And because my situation at Oracle was so strong, both in terms of equity that I'd had, the tie-in that I had as part of the deal I was able to negotiate to go and be CEO, there was probably for a level of equity you wouldn't normally see in a VC type deal with an external non-founder CEO. So that kind of set me up as a first-time CEO as well.